I did a lot of Christian Bale-esque transformation, starved myself for years to get the ribcage showing.
Welcome to Watch Mojo's Pop in the Culture Halloween special. That's right, you know me, I'm your host with the most eye makeup, apparently. That's right, it's Mr. Hollywood himself, Matt Demers here, or today you can call me sweaty emo Bruce Wayne, you know, from the Batman movie. We got such a bat-tastic show coming your way today. I'll be speaking with the director and some of the stars of the zombie comedy, The Loneliest Boy in the World. Don't want to miss that. But first, as we do, let's jump into those Hollywood headlines. All right, everyone, we begin this Halloween-infused edition of the Hollywood headlines with the damning news surrounding, who else but Kanye West.
I care about me, I care about my people, so it's for me to stand up. And God forbid I step on someone's toes while I'm at it.
After doubling down on his anti-Semitic remarks, Kanye has not only been booted from social media platforms Twitter and Instagram, but also his talent agency, CAA.
How kids gonna get taken seriously if they keep making bad choices?
In addition, a completed documentary about the rapper has been shelved, concerts have been canceled, and fashion companies have all severed ties with West.
I could say anti-Semitic things and Adidas can't drop me. Now what?
Well, this just in, Adidas has also dropped Kanye. I guess Yeezys will have to find a new home. The big question, of course, is the Louis Vuitton Don able to weather this storm like he has so many other times? Well, here to share her wicked hot takes with us is the Watch Mojo lady, Rebecca Brayton. Hello, Rebecca.
Hello.
Welcome to the Bat Cave. Okay, we're starting with Kanye. Listen, is this Kanye being Kanye, or is it really enough at this point?
I actually want to talk about a TikTok that I watched. It was a clip of Trevor Noah in between clips of filming the show, and he was talking about this specific, like, someone said, why are you beefing with Ye? And he's like, I'm not beefing with Ye. I am a huge fan of his, and I'm just worried about him, and I wish people would stop putting a microphone in front of him when he's having these episodes. And everything he said in the video really rang true to me.
Maybe this is not the moment to put a microphone in your face so that you just go off saying everything.
Okay, well, moving on to movie news, as Marvel fans were treated to their first look at Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania.
Where are we?
When are you gonna come down? When are you going to land? I should have stayed on the phone. I should have listened to my own mind.
It's a secret universe beneath ours.
The trailer features everything from a teenage Cassie Lang to a bumpy quantum realm arrival, and oddly enough, even the currently embattled Bill Murray shows up.
It isn't what you think.
But perhaps the teaser's biggest highlight comes in the form of the MCU's new big bad, Kang the Conqueror.
So, what's it gonna be? Ant-Man.
Opening February 2023, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania serves as the official start to the MCU's fifth phase, leading into the Avengers' Kang Dynasty. Well, there's that Kang name again. Rebecca, what's your take? And is Ant-Man, is he still a minor league character in the MCU? Has he graduated to like A-list superhero?
Well, it's Paul Rudd, so automatically for me, A-list superhero. So I think it kind of depends. Like, they're obviously putting some heft in terms of the casting in these movies. I think to call Ant-Man a minor character, it would be very underserving the character. Definitely.
Thank you, Spider-Man.
Okay, well, sticking with superheroes, it's only fitting that we switch to DC to look at the exciting news as it relates to The Man of Steel. Yep, it's officially official. Henry Cavill took to his socials to confirm that he is indeed returning to the DCEU as their last son of Krypton.
I wanted to make it official that I am back as Superman.
This follows the actor's not-so-secret cameo in the post-credit scene of Black Adam, which, by the way, completely over-delivered at the box office in its opening weekend.
Heroes don't kill people.
Well, I do.
And regardless if you get a showdown or a team-up between Cavill's Superman and The Rock's Black Adam, the fan-favorite actor promises we will be satisfied.
Thank you for your support, and thank you for your patience. I promise it will be rewarded.
Rebecca, he's back. For reals. Henry Cavill as Superman. What do you want to see out of this version of DC's Big Blue Boy Scout?
Well, I don't want to sound too cliche, but as a fan of like the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, I'd love to see a bit more lightness in Henry Cavill's Superman movies. I'd love to see just kind of, not taking themselves too seriously, maybe not snapping any necks. I don't know. You do what you need to do, I suppose.
This man is not our enemy.
Thank you, Colonel.
Okay, moving from one passionate fandom to another, as it's been revealed that prolific writer Damon Lindelof's Star Wars movie is a go.
You didn't say my name, but I'm all right.
Lindelof, who has been long rumored to be involved in a Star Wars project, is perhaps best known for leading the writing rooms of Lost, The Leftovers, and HBO's The Watchmen.
Phenomenal.
While it is not known when this movie will hit the big screen, it is known that Miss Marvel Helmer, Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, will take on the directing duties.
Kamala, hey, already? Really? Come on,
Do I have to figure out my whole future before lunch, or is there
Rebecca, are these the right folks to tackle Star Wars, Damon especially?
I know Damon Lindelof has a spotty track record, inconsistent, let's say. Like HBO's Watchmen's amazing, but Lost, did it stick the landing? We don't know. Depends who you ask. So I think it could work. I think it could be great.
Lando, you did it! You did it!
All right, Rebecca, with this being our Halloween special and all, it's only fair that we end things with a look at the top pop culture costumes of 2022.
We just did the entire Thriller dance.
That was hot. Let's do it again.
Okay, well, highlights from Pinterest's list of the most sought-after Halloween costumes this year include characters from Stranger Things, Top Gun Maverick, true crime fraudster Anna Delvey, American Psycho Patrick Bateman, and even Maddie and Cassie from Euphoria.
Hey.
Wait, why?
My class is this way.
But if you were thinking of putting together a Jeffrey Dahmer Halloween costume this year, the consensus is don't. In fact, eBay has even removed all Dahmer-related costumes from their site.
Eat it.
Rebecca, what do you make of those Halloween costumes from pop culture? Any best bets that you think out of that list? And also a second question for you. What do you make of this whole Dahmer costume for Halloween? Yay or nay?
I was surprised that Patrick Bateman from American Psycho was on that list, because last time I checked it was 2022. Stranger Things is a pretty safe bet. For the older people, Euphoria is fine. As for Dahmer costumes, I just don't think you should go as like a real criminal. It's gross. And you definitely shouldn't dress your kids up like that.
Rebecca, as always, I can't thank you enough for helping me break down all these spooky stories today.
No problem. Thanks for giving me a reason to wear my pumpkin shirt.
All right, Rebecca, here's what we do. We dig deep in the archives of Watch Mojo. We pluck out the old top 10 list. We go beyond the list. What the heck does that mean? It means me and you get to riff a little, have a little bit of fun, discuss, did Watch Mojo get it right or wrong? Obviously, this is our Halloween edition, so we had to do something spooky, something to do with horror films. Before we get into what the list is today, I need to know your quintessential Halloween movie, a horror or maybe not necessarily horror, what do you have to watch every time this time of year, every year?
Well, I have to watch the Treehouse of Horrors.
Oh, yeah.
I have to watch them. But if you're talking movies, the first one I'll watch is Scream.
Ooh,
for sure.
yeah.
I mean, I know it's pretty cliche, but it's always going to be Scream.
Absolutely. Scream's a classic. For me, it's the original.
I watched 1408 for the first time the other day.
Oh, and?
It's not bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely not the worst Stephen King adaptation, and it's not even the worst Stephen King adaptation starring John Cusack and Samuel L. Jackson.
That's saying something. That's saying something. Okay, well, today we're going to have a little bit of fun with horror movies, of course, but they're to do with conspiracy theories connected to horror movies. Yes, there's conspiracy theories for everything, and I like to dabble for entertainment purposes. So, take all these with a grain of salt, but these have to do with horror movies. These are interesting stuff. Number 10, Paranormal Activity. The conspiracy theory, Rebecca, is that movie is real. That it's not a movie. These are actually, because it's like found footage, right? Mm-hmm. Like in the vein of Blair Witch. Now, the reason why the conspiracy theory is saying this is that the director, the original director and producer, so he did all this stuff, he actually made a deal with the demon featured in the movie. That this actually happened to him. These were his real footage, and that he had to get it out there. And the more people get scared, the more power the demon got.
It's like The Ring, sort of.
The director made a deal with the devil.
Sure. Do people actually believe that?
Yes. Well, enough people for it to land on our top 10 list. Our writers had to find that theory somewhere. I remember when Blair Witch came out, and that was like kind of the first of its kind, and people legit thought that was real.
Well, actually, I wouldn't even say that's the first one. The first one like that was Cannibal Holocaust. I don't know if it was the first, but that one was like really bad. I think they actually, okay, correct me if I'm wrong. I might be, but I feel like the filmmaker went to on trial because they thought that they had murdered people during that film shoot. And he had to like produce them because they weren't doing press tours because they wanted it to be like, they wanted it to look like it was true. That's
what Blair Witch did. The actors weren't doing press until the movie was a big smash hit after weeks. And then they ended up at the MTV Music Awards or something. And I was like, hey, wait a minute. Thought you were supposed to be real people. So yeah, there you go.
Well, then I guess Paranormal Activity did its job. Because
yes, it did. They're still going, by the way. I think there's I don't know how many we have now. Is it 7? Is it 6? They're making another one is the point I'm getting at. They're fun. The jump scares in those Paranormal Activities are really, really good because you're literally staring at the screen waiting for anything to happen. So, number 9.
A jump scare is only as good as the quiet around it.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
That's very true. Number 9. This is an interesting conspiracy theory. Okay, I can see this one. It's Michael Myers being part of the Tethered. Do you know the movie Us that Jordan Peele did? Right, where we all have these evil doppelgangers and they're underground in tunnels. So the idea is that Michael Myers, on Halloween night, when he killed, when he did the killing as a little boy, it was actually his double. He got switched. And now the little Michael Myers underneath, and this is the tethered Michael that's raining havoc. And to make this even more plausible, is that in one of the Halloweens, I think it was Halloween 3, or no, not the third one, maybe the fourth one. Regardless, it was discovered that there was actually a tunnel underneath the Myers home.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, well, now you got me. Now I'm like, well, I'm going to fight for this conspiracy theory.
That totally makes sense. That totally makes sense. So sometimes these movies kind of mash up. We had Freddy and Jason. Let's do the Halloween Us. Jordan Peele can do the directing. It'll be fantastic.
I'd watch it.
I love me some Halloween. That's the movie. Sorry, I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but that's the movie that I watch every year. The original, the 1978. That's so good. I won't get into the recent one, which is very divisive amongst us Halloween fanatics. I didn't mind it, for the record. Okay. Number 8, Hereditary. Has to do with the movie Hereditary. You've seen this, Rebecca?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Traumatizing, right?
It was fine.
What?
I'm not easily... Okay, look, I went through a phase where I was terrified of horror movies,
Okay.
but I've been desensitized, so I'm fine.
Wow. Okay, this movie, and I watch all the horror movies, but this is the one that kind of literally left me in the theater kind of feeling
Plus,
ill. And
I saw Ari Aster at the spa. Did I tell you that?
okay, no, but that'll do it. That's amazing. Well, Hereditary, I do recommend it. 2018 it came out. But here's the thing. At the end, we get a reveal of the cult members, right? We bring Peter, the teenage boy, into the leader role.
Spoiler alert! This
came out in 2018.
Yeah, but fine. Anyway,
all these
it's not
movies are
that
spoiler
long.
alerts. Well, here's the conspiracy around it is that like those cult members, we don't know much about them, but they're actual people throughout the movie. In fact, there's one character that's in that treehouse at the end that has the same hair as one of Peter's friends in high school. So it's like, it's an added layer to this whole thing, and I don't know, I dig that.
I wish I had asked Ari Aster about this.
You should have. Could have solved that conspiracy theory or confirmed it.
No, this is the one so far that I'm like, well, that must be true.
Yeah, because the script I found was so smart regardless that seems plausible that the director and everybody would plant something.
I think that makes sense because that would make it so much worse where everyone around you is in on this. That's definitely worse.
Yeah. No, for sure.
I'm buying into the hook, line, and sinker for me.
Okay, that's so far, and that was only number 8. Number 7 on here is interesting. It's Sarah is the Killer from the movie The Descent, another fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it, 2005. So what do they? I don't know what they call that. They go in the caves, spelunking. It sounds like a word that I'm mispronouncing, but apparently that's what it is.
Now, why don't you try tub thumping one more time?
Oh no, don't bring up. What is it?
Tub thumping.
Tub humping? Tub thumping.
Oh my God.
For those that have no idea, watch Mojo's game show, What the List. I was on a roll, and there's a question to do with that song by Chumbawamba, and I couldn't for the life of me get it out. I kept saying tub humping.
It was hilarious.
But what's funny is that I always thought I got it. Every time I said it, I thought I got it right. I was like, tub humping, right? You guys are like, no.
That is the funniest part.
Try again. And I was like, no, it's tub humping. I just kept re-saying it. Well, listen, spelunking is what they do in this movie. And so there's little creatures underneath, and it's all very creepy, and they kill everybody. But the conspiracy theory here is that Sarah was actually the killer, that she did all the killing herself because she suffered a trauma at the beginning of the movie. She lost her family, and she goes on this expedition. And then they hint at the beginning that when you're under there, you do get a chance to hallucinate because of the environment. It's hard to see, so they think that she had this big break and had a descent into madness. Ties into the title.
I'm not gonna lie to you, that sounds like a better movie.
Right? Well,
like, no offense to this movie, which is very, very scary, but I think that it's just an entirely different film, though. Like, it's a different genre of film.
Yeah.
It's kind of giving the Babadook. So, isn't the Babadook like a treatise on grief? This kind of feels like that it would feel like that as well, if this conspiracy theory were true. But I feel like the movie would have to be different. Like, I feel like if they would have to actually arrive at that at the end of the film.
Yeah, for sure.
But interesting.
It is fun to think about. And then when you rewatch it, you could always try to put those pieces together. Number 6 is interesting. It's to do with The Shining, a movie that is always a classic this time of year, of course. Jack Nicholson, 1980?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's a little older than I thought, but I guess so. Stanley Kubrick's, of course, masterpiece. Okay, here's the conspiracy theory that the family was actually subject to something called MK Ultra, which was this real thing in the 50s and 60s where the CIA were doing these experiments where they were kind of brainwashing. They're using LSD, and they would put them in these kind of controlled environments. They think that maybe this family and their descent into madness is because of the MK Ultra.
I believe it.
There's so many. I thought the conspiracy theory for The Shining was that that Kubrick faked the moon landing. There's all kinds. I watched a whole documentary on like how and like the kids' pajamas had a rocket ship on it.
I know.
Yeah, so I thought that's what it was. This is interesting too. I don't know, maybe.
I think it makes the movie, well, you know, I have said before, I am much more of a fan of the book than the movie of The Shining, but I think part of what's interesting about The Shining is that it is one man's descent into madness on his own. That's why the book is interesting. Like but there is like supernatural stuff at play. But this feels like there's too much external that it makes it a little less of a psychological, well, maybe not, but you know, a psychological descent because it's being forced that way.
Side quest: Did you enjoy Dr. Sleep?
No.
The Ewan McGregor. You didn't like that?
No, I'm the only one. I'm sorry.
Wow. I didn't mind it.
Everybody likes it, and I'm like, what did you watch?
Well, I like the main girl. She was great.
Rebecca Ferguson.
Oh, she was awesome. The woman in the hat.
Yeah, Rose the Hat. I know. I
never read.
Movie, honestly.
Did you read the book? Is this why? Is it one of those books? But yeah, okay. There you go. Never read the book, so maybe I'd be on the same camp as you. Okay, let's move on to number 5. We're at the halfway point with these conspiracy theories, which I'm loving, by the way. Kurt is working with the facility in the cabin in the woods. Kurt.
Okay, so I just rewatched this on Friday.
Oh, so Kurt is the Hemsworth, right?
Mm.
Yeah. So his character. So what they're saying in the script is that his character is the one that brings them to the cabin, and the stuff that he does throughout the movie is kind of subject. We don't actually see his dead body after he dies. Spoiler alert. Whatever. You just rewatch it. What do you think? Could you see that he's?
No, I disagree with this one, and I'll tell you why.
Oh, okay.
Because he dies in a way that proves that someone is doing something to them.
Yes.
So he dies if for those who, I'm sorry, spoiler alert, but everybody dies. Anyway, literally everybody dies. So there's like a dome over wherever they are, and he flies into it with a motorcycle and just falls down a crevasse or whatever. And so, but like when he hits this dome and it's clear, it's like see-through, it's invisible, you can't see it. So they see it. So like then they know that there's some bigger power at play.
Yes.
In terms of what's going on for them. So I don't think if he worked for them that he would have proven to them that they're not crazy.
Well, Watch Mojo is theorizing that maybe it was a double cross. And again, we don't see a body in the horror world. You don't see a body. That's the giveaway that they might not actually be dead. So maybe. But yeah.
Yes, but if you've seen the end of the movie, literally everybody dies.
Yes.
Literally everybody.
Literally everybody. That's great. I'm going to rewatch that one. That's a great one to put on my rewatch list. Blair Witch. We did Blair Witch here. Number 4, and this has to do with time travel. So essentially, it's such a trippy movie, Blair Witch. They go in the forest, and yeah, it has to do with this messing of time, but apparently that house that they end up in at the end, it's there. So there was supplementary material for Blair Witch. So outside of the movie, there was like a special VHS with more secrets, and in that it says that house apparently burned down in 1941. So maybe they time travel back in time. And then apparently there was even a video game that takes place back in the olden times, and one of the characters is in the video game. So yeah, that seems to be plausible.
I guess it's time travel, but like I would have just called it like a wormhole or something. But you know, if the house burned down and then the house is there's obviously something going on. So
yeah.
I don't think that's a conspiracy theory. I think that's just explaining the movie.
Yeah, well, but there's no explanation in the movie, right? It was just mystical.
Well, no, there's no explanation, but like, that's the point of that movie.
But are they hallucinating the house? Maybe it was, No,
I don't think so.
I don't know. Yeah. Okay.
I don't think so.
Maybe not. Number 3. This one's weird to me. It's going to the movie that we and you both enjoy called Scream.
I just watched Scream 3. This is excellent.
Roman
and
is the character. And okay, let's do the official spoiler alert. We'll tell you who the killer is in Scream 3. It's Roman.
It's Scott Foley.
It's Scott Foley, yes. From Felicity and so many other things, of course. But he is the killer. Now,
Wait, is that Scott Foley?
Yeah, it is, of course.
Okay.
It absolutely is Scott Foley.
Okay, I was like, oh God, for a second.
But what's the big deal? Well, the conspiracy theory is that he was actually in the first Scream, like you don't see him on screen. And there's apparently some instances where he could be involved. And then there's something at a grocery store where Ghostface is stalking Sydney, and then there's a kind of a close-up of a product called Romantica.
Grocery store? Video store?
No, apparently there was a grocery store or a video store.
Yeah, you said grocery store.
Romantica. Regardless, it's something to do with his name. I don't know. I find this one
weird. I'm going to have to go back and watch it again now. Nuts.
I don't know. That one's weird. Tying it back to
Scream
the first
3 is weird. Like the premise. Yeah, it's actually, honestly, I keep revisiting my opinion on it. It's not bad. It's pretty good. It might be not the second best one, but like one of the better ones.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah. But the part that I like is because there's, spoiler alert, Randy dies in the second one. And so he has made a video explaining the rules of a horror movie trilogy. And for the third one, the rule is something you've believed as true all along, you find out more information and that it wasn't true.
Yeah.
And so in this one, you find out that Sydney's mom had another kid, and he's mad that she like rejected him. So he planted the seeds for Billy and Stu to kill her.
Okay, yes.
And then, he just like, he's the puppet master of the first 3 Scream movies.
There you go. Okay, well, maybe I will rewatch it. Now, you sold me on it. Are you working
It's
for
good.
that?
And it has Carrie Fisher in far too little movie, but very, very excellent scene.
Interesting. Number 2, I've heard this one. I've heard this one a lot. It's that Kevin McAllister from Home Alone, the cute little kid that terrorizes burglars in his home. Well, he grew up to be Jigsaw in the Saw movies, right? Because of the traps and because of the... You must have heard this before.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I figured this would be number 1, but...
Yeah, it's only number 2. It's only number 2. I can see it.
I have nothing to say about this one. It just seems very like, let's move on. No.
What makes it enjoyable is putting those 2 films together.
I don't want it to be true because Kevin McAllister is sweet. He's just a nice boy, and he was so nice. He's so nice to those people that he meets,
But he was traumatized twice in his life.
That's a good point.
It's gonna mess you up. So, yeah. Okay, number 1. Here's number 1. This is interesting that I like this. It has to do with Loomis from the Halloween movies. And that is Samuel Loomis is actually in the movie Psycho. Yes, so 1978 is Halloween, Psycho 1960. Now there's a Dr. Samuel Loomis, of course, who's the one that, treats Michael, and he's sounding the alarms about him being on the loose. But in Psycho, there's another Dr. Loomis. There's a Sam Loomis is not a doctor, but he's the boyfriend of Marion. So it's saying that after all the events, all the craziness that happened within his life and what he was witness to, that he took up the mantle of being a doctor and treating these killers. That's interesting.
Why not? I wonder if the name was an homage.
Well, that's what I was getting at, because it's like Loomis. That's a pretty... And you got a Sam Loomis and a Samuel. I mean...
Yeah. And Billy Loomis, but that was definitely an homage.
Oh, there you go. Now we can tie. Let's tie that one in this movie. You can tie it all together. There you go.
Yeah.
We're just creating conspiracy theories. Psycho. Are you a fan of the original, not the Anne Hathaway?
Not
Anne Heche.
Anne Heche.
Anne Heche, yeah. The late Anne
Yeah.
Heche did one with Vince Vaughn.
I liked that one.
You did?
Yeah, I thought Vince Vaughn was really good in it.
Yeah.
I'm the person that likes that movie. I thought it was unnecessary, but
there you go. That's probably a better way to put it. It was unnecessary, but the original.
It was unnecessary. Yeah, no, it's not as good, obviously, and like I enjoy watching it, and I think Vince Vaughn does a great job because he's very creepy in it.
Yeah. He did make a good creep in that. I'll admit that. But the original, you can't touch it. Can't touch the original Psycho.
No.
Which, by the way, had the first flushing toilet on screen ever.
I did know that.
Groundbreaking. Groundbreaking stuff. Rebecca, listen, I want to thank you again for joining us here on the show. It's always fun to have you here, and I want to wish you a very, very happy Halloween.
Thank you. Happy Halloween to you.
All right, everybody, we're going to keep the fun coming. It's time for our Mojo Chats of the week. The movie is titled The Loneliest Boy in the World. And boy, it's this really great mix of comedy and horror. And who better to tell us all about it than the director? It's Martin Owen. Hey, Martin, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for taking the time to speak to me, Matt. Yeah, I'm good. It's it's a pretty wacky film. It's a unique film. But it's kind of, for me, it's interesting because all of the things around the film, the undead family, the kind of color palettes, it's all things you had fun with and the kind of the packaging. But ultimately, it's a film about a young man experiencing grief.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad you used the word unique because it did feel like a movie, especially during the spooky season. Everyone's watching movies to do with vampires and zombies, of course. And this feels different from all of them. How would you best describe it? Because I was trying to recommend this and I was trying to explain it. You're the director. You tell us how was the best way to describe this film to other people?
I think that I think it kind of starts with the fact that the screenplay was written in the 80s. So it was written in the 80s by Piers Ashworth, Brad Wyman, and Emilio Estevez. And they wrote it in the 80s. And it was kind of optioned and different studios and distributors. And it never got made. And it got close to being made kind of 3 or 4 times over the years. And then we were fortunate enough to get hold of it. And and kind of, it's just, I would describe it as a kind of a comedic horror fairy tale is how I would best describe it, I think.
That's pretty good. And you say Emilio Estevez, not the Mighty Ducks guy, right? That's
the Mighty Ducks guy.
No way. No way. Well, you talk about it being written in the 80s. Well, I love that kind of retro nostalgia feel we get from the film. So much fun. I believe this is the most airtime Alf has gotten in like the longest time. Were you big on 80s pop culture yourself?
Yeah, massive. Yeah. So that was kind of like, so for me, when the guys wrote it originally, when I read the screenplay, it had TV show I watched a lot was Family Ties.
Yes.
I think originally at one point they called the movie Family Dies, which was a cool title. Actually, I like that. Yeah. But then when I read it, because Family Ties wasn't really that well known in the UK, so I was like familiar with it, but I wasn't that familiar with it. And I'm just a big I'm always paranoid about making films or anything or involved anything that I don't truly know or understand as much as I should. I hate to kind of like blag things, as we say in the UK. So I was like, what 80s show can we infuse into it that he watches? And Alf came straight to my mind because it always resonated. When I was a kid, it really resonated with me. And there's something about the fact that obviously in the Alf story that he's this, kind of duck out of water character who even though he shouldn't fit in, he finds a family. And that obviously just totally resonates with the story of Oliver. So that's why we ended up using the Alf TV show and the kind of that analogy of Alf as well.
Absolutely. No, it's so fun. And I love how the movie kind of blends with those sitcom tropes in really, really fun and wonderful ways. And obviously you got a really fun like 80s soundtrack going on a few times. Won't spoil some pretty good songs that needle drops, as we call them. Let's talk about quickly about some of the effects. We're obviously dealing with the undead here. There's this really wonderful scene where Hero's out sunbathing in his body. I mean, people probably know his body from his work in the after movies, but this is something different. What is this? And then we have a dog in here who's undead. Well, how did we achieve all this? Is this CGI wizardry, or is this kind of practical?
Yeah, so it's a mixture. So that's Hero Fiennes Tiffin's real body. Now I'm kidding. But basically, we were fortunate enough to have the prosthetics was headed up by a chap called Mark Coulier, and Mark Coulier is very experienced, has won Academy Awards and has worked on movies from Harry Potter to he's worked in the zombie field before. He did World War Z with Brad Pitt. He did that movie, so he was a great guy and just has a real energy and a real passion about what he does. So a lot of what was there was practical. So like Hero, for example, that was a prosthetic piece on his body. He had prosthetics around his eyes, his face, and then the VFX just like enhanced the decomposition of the eyes during the film. But everything was based on prosthetics. So like to use Hero, for example, Hero was sat in the chair for like hours every single day. He was in the chair in the morning and at night. The same with Susan McCormer, Ben Miller, Zenobia, who plays the little girl, Mel. They were all in the chair for a long time and they didn't complain. Luckily the cast got on, because imagine if they hadn't got on very well and they're sitting in a chair for 3 hours next to somebody. It's going to be pretty painful. But look, the cast are all super nice. And then the dog, she starts the film as a real dog. It was actually my dog, Sherry. She was the dog in the film. And then obviously when she's run over in the film, then she becomes VFX, and they did it in the way whereby she went into one of the booths where they have the cameras all around, like 700 cameras, and take all the pictures, and then they rebuilt her in the visual effects, and rebuilt her as a 3D model to be able to then again make her body kind of decompose during the film. So it was the film was a mixture of visual effects when it needed to enhance the practical effects, but on the whole the zombies were real practical stuff, and when like arms are pulled off and stuff, that's all practical effects with maybe just some tiny bits of VFX enhancement here and there.
I love that. By the way, I watched the movie with my dog on my lap, and every time that the zombie dog came on, he was confused as to what this was that he was watching. Is that a dog? Not a dog? Really great stuff. But regardless, human or otherwise, we do recommend this movie. It's The Loneliest Boy in the World. Hey, Martin, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
We're talking the movie The Loneliest Boy in the World, something a little out of left field this spooky season, one that's really great. Here to tell me more about it is one of the stars. Hey, Hero, how's it going?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Listen, I just watched this literally last night and I had a great time with it. I've been asking everyone to kind of describe it because, as I already alluded to, it is something different. How are you going to describe this film to other people?
I would say it is a wacky, dark comedy about a very lonely boy and a bunch of undead people who try and teach him how to be a more social person.
There you go. Now you're playing one of those undead people. A few questions for you. One, at the beginning, in the movie, we see you kind of lifeless because, well, you are dead. Is that really you, lying on the couch with the blank spare? You had to keep that. Is that?
Yeah. Do you know what's funny, man? I've really learned how difficult it is to play dead. And then also there's so many little things. So for example, like if I was in a suit in that scene, which is ideal because you've got the shirt and the waistcoat and the blazer, you can kind of like pull it up to give your belly room to breathe a little bit. So that when you do the shallow breaths, if you were in like skin or topless, you might be able to see the body move a bit more. And the same with the eyes. We put contacts in just to sell the fact they're dead and give them the color to the eyes that makes them look dead. And every however long. So it was actually really, really helpful wearing those contacts to allow us to like keep our eyes open and pretend to be dead. And it was funny because the first 2 weeks of filming, I was just playing dead. And then by week number 3, I actually had to say some lines. And I was like, oh God, I think I've forgotten how to actually act. I've got comfortable just here lying here and letting Max do the work.
No, people say, oh, you just got to lay there. No, it's not easy to do, as you just alluded to. Okay. Our director Martin, he teased that, and we see in the advertisements, and obviously people will see in the film, you have this really great scene where you're out sunbathing, shirts off. Obviously nothing new for you people that have seen those after movies. Your shirts off. He says that's your real bod, though. He says that's not. The other movies use the CGI.
Yeah, I did a lot of Christian Bale-esque transformation. Starved myself for years to get the ribcage showing.
That's right. What do you wear? You're wearing something, right? Like it's like a whole.
It's prosthetics, and the team, Mark Collier and his team, are amazing. Like they've got some amazing credits. They've been doing this stuff. They really are like one of the best in the game. And it's essentially just like a chess piece. I went into one of their studios just outside of London before we started filming to get everything cast, and they cast my face and they cast my body and like a leg and an arm. And then from there, they can make the molds that perfectly fit into your body. So the dimensions of like my belly button to my nipples and my rib cages, it's all perfect, literally. So when you put it on and they finish with all the, the airbrushing and hand painting all the veins, and it takes them like 3 hours to get it perfect. When you stand up and you look in the mirror and you touch the ribs, your brain really convinces itself that they're your ribs, and you expect to feel rib when you touch it. And really that helps so much. People always say how much costume helps with performance and transforming you, but that when you look in the mirror looking like that and with the torso and you feel like that's really who you are, it does wonders for how much easier it makes it to get into character.
And as a movie fan, I love me some practical effects. I love that this is costume work. So for those that are familiar with Hero in those after movies, you will see him tarp off, but in a totally different way. Okay, before we go, last question. Let's have a little bit of fun here. I always say this now in movie theaters, you don't need to order the popcorn in the classic soft drink, and you can watch movies at home. So maybe people will as well for this one. What's the best pairing, Hero? Okay, someone's gonna say maybe it's a date night. You're gonna watch The Loneliest Boy in the World. What's the snacks? What's the meal? What's the drink?
Right, what do you? I'm going for, since we're in Halloween now, let's go for let's do Halloween themed stuff. Americans are better than us English are at this stuff, so I might have to lean on you. But yeah, man, just get all that Halloween themed candy, get some bright orange tango and pretend it's like, I don't know, witch's juice or whatever. But yeah, I think that's actually quite fun. Load up your snacks, Halloween themed snacks, and sit down and watch Loneliest Boy in the World.
Amazing. Well, we definitely recommend everyone do just that. Hero, thanks so much for your time today. The movie is titled The Loneliest Boy in the World, and if you're looking for something a little different this spooky season, this is the movie for you. I got one of the stars here. It's Max. Hey, Max, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I literally just last night just watched this movie. Can't stop thinking about it because as I alluded to, it is something quite different. I just spoke with your director and tried to get him to describe it because it is something a little more unique. How do you describe it? You're the main guy. You're Oliver. How do you describe this to people?
I would say this movie is a kooky journey through the imagination of a 16-year-old boy who wants to find his place in the world.
Absolutely. And you are that 16-year-old boy. How did you approach this character? I can only imagine as an actor getting that script being like, wow, this is because you have a lot to do. You're almost literally in every scene. How did you approach it? Because I feel like you did a great job. There was hints of like almost, I don't know, Johnny Depp's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, who he based on Michael Jackson. I don't know. Did you draw any inspiration from other people, or how did you approach it?
Yeah, I was hugely influenced by Johnny Depp in Edward Scissorhands.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And that was for me, that was one of my main performance references. I don't do too much performance referencing because I try and pour a lot of myself into it, but because we were making a film that was written in the 80s and set in the 80s, I just wanted to make sure that I was being specific about what the style of that was, and especially the style and the lens in which you're filtering things through, because that's what style is. It's like a lens filter basically on how you deliver. So yeah, I would say that.
So clearly you're not an 80s kid, of course.
No.
What did you enjoy about reliving the 80s? Because you do get to wear some interesting pants at one point.
Yeah.
And they've got
very tight pants. They were very tight pants, I have to say.
But they were flared at the bottom. It was almost like a bell-bottomy thing. And then you've got the decor, and then you've got the the TVs. I was saying that this is probably the most airtime Alf has had since the 80s. What was your impression of the 80s, and what would you keep, what would you toss if you were to go back there?
What would I toss if I was to go back to the 80s? Maybe some of the hairstyles. I don't know. I think the 80s had really fantastic music. Like obviously, like the soundtrack for this movie was probably the most expensive part of the movie. I don't know how they kind of managed to get, you know, the Ghostbusters theme in there, but no, the music I love. I think the color palette specifically in this film, like, you know, the overblown pastels and stuff. I don't know that necessarily, you know, I suppose some designers are doing a bit of like pastel stuff, which is kind of making a resurgence, especially with like a few designers, but yeah, lots of different things really. I was like a late 90s kid, so I don't really have too much knowledge on the 80s. I should know more really.
I knew some friends that totally had houses like Oliver's family home. Burns the eyes when you're in there. You get a really great cast. This is almost the movie evolves in different ways, and it almost becomes kind of the sitcom at the end. What was that like working with this ensemble? You know, you had Hero in there and this other great family members. What was that like?
Yeah, really fun. Like you said, we had like a real box of tricks of actors. Like, you know, you had Susie and Ben, who are absolute heavyweight Brits, you know, made some really, really fantastic work in the UK. And then you have, you know, heartthrob Hero, who's also just brilliant and hilarious in this. And then Ashley and Evan brought such a uniqueness to the project. It was just really fun, and they all really loved the project, and I think that was the best part, is that we all lived together as well in the pandemic. It was in the pandemic we shot it. So
you guys were in the bubble.
Yeah, we're in a bubble together, so we actually became like a family off screen. So I'm kind of now really biased to say that I love them all, because we did just become a family. But yeah, they're all so great.
Amazing. All right, before we go, one of my favorite questions I get to ask is, because now in theaters, if people are going to watch this on the big screen, you don't need to get your traditional popcorn or Coke. And of course, we can watch movies at home. You can make whatever you want. What are you going to pair? What's the pairing? Whether it's a drink or whether it's a bit of food, what are people going to watch with the loneliest boy in the world?
I think like a cherry soda and like a really like loaded nacho with cheese, salsa. It's got to be just really filthy snacks. That's what I'd say.
So those are the best date nights, right? Listen, no matter what you eat or drink, make sure you check out The Loneliest Boy in the World. Hey, Max, this has been so much fun. Thanks for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this edition, everybody. A big thanks going out to Martin, to Hero, and to Max. So much fun. Definitely check out The Loneliest Boy in the World. And hey, the Watch Mojo lady, we got to thank Rebecca Brayton. And a big thanks going out to you for watching and listening. Enjoy your Halloween, and don't forget to pop a little culture along the way.